Alright, hey guys, welcome to the video. If you're new here, my name is Curtis, and today we're going to be talking about the note of patchouli. Now, patchouli was one of those fragrance notes that took myself a while to get accustomed to. It just didn't resonate with me like other notes, like, as you guys know, I really love vetiver. And so vetiver from day one, I really enjoyed, but patchouli is one of those notes that took me a little bit to kind of really appreciate. But now I absolutely love the note of patchouli. And one thing that I really like about patchouli is patchouli can show you many different facets. So it can be kind of green, earthy, even slightly damp. It can also kind of give off like a slight booziness, or kind of like that chocolatey, cakey type of vibe. And so I really enjoy the different facets of patchouli now. And so I've gone through my collection and I've chosen 5 fragrances that all feature the note of patchouli. Some a bit more at the forefront of the fragrance than others, but all the fragrances today do have patchouli in them. So if you're curious to see the fragrances that I've chosen, then let's go. First up, from the house of Jeroboam, we have Mixado. So this is a very creamy, woodsy, and musky scent. It's quite sensual and even a little seductive. And I really like that this fragrance even has a slight dark and mysterious quality about it, which was just very intriguing to me from the get-go. I liked this fragrance from day one. My first sniff, loved it. It's just very unique, and I don't have another fragrance quite like this in my collection. But what I will say is if you aren't a fan of woodsy, musky fragrances, then you probably want to stay away from this one, because I think out of all of the fragrances that Jeroboam has to offer, this is the most woodsy of them all. So again, if you don't like woodsy scents, then this probably won't be your cup of tea. Yeah, so basically in the top you get some bergamot and saffron. In the mid you get a bit of gaiac wood and cedar, and then in the base is held down by white musk, patchouli, and a bit of vanilla. But yeah, this one is done so well, and it's one of my favorites from the house of Jeroboam for sure. It's just very unique, and in my opinion, it's a very easy wear. I really enjoy this one. And one thing that I really like about the house of Jeroboam is they offer 30 ml extrait de parfums. So you do not need a lot of sprays with these. These push out quite heavily. Performance is just top notch. So yeah, you should definitely check out the house of Jeroboam. They have some just stunning fragrances from top to bottom. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Mixado by Jeroboam. Next up, from the house of YSL, we have Tuxedo. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about this fragrance a whole lot. It has received quite a bit of hype in the community. But yeah, this is rose and patchouli done extremely well. This is just a very sexy fragrance. And I know some people probably won't wear this fragrance unless they're dressed up, and that's just the kind of vibe that they get. But for me, I'll wear this one in any occasion and pretty much any season, except for summer here in Japan, because the temperatures are just so high and it's extremely humid here. So this fragrance might be a little bit cloying or difficult to pull off, I think. But if you live in a climate to where it's not so humid and your temperatures don't go so high, you could easily wear this one in the summertime as well. But for me, in the climate that I'm in here in Japan, it just won't work. But spring, fall, and winter, I'll hit this one. This one is just so sexy and intoxicating, and people tend to just really enjoy this one. I think every time I've worn this one, I've gotten compliments from it. It's just that good. Yeah, so I'll tell you a little story about this fragrance too. So, I was in Tokyo, I had a few drinks.
Drank a little bit too much.
Decided that, oh yeah, I'll go fragrance shopping. Which, if you've been drinking, going fragrance shopping after you've been drinking is never a good idea. Let's just say that I went fragrance shopping, don't really remember the night so well, came home, woke up, and in my bag was this. So it was just one of those times where, yeah, I don't really remember smelling it in the shop, but I must have liked it because I ended up buying it, and yeah, wound up with this. But I got really lucky because I do actually really love this fragrance. So yeah, it's just one of those times that just kind of worked out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Tuxedo by YSL. Next up from the house of Electimuss, we have Electimuss Patchouli. Man, all I can say is these bottles are so heavy. I mean, you can literally get a workout. The quality here is just absolutely amazing. Man, this is just such a nice balance of freshness, warmth, and elegance. The patchouli in here does come across quite green, and this fragrance is quite aromatic. But yeah, it's just kind of a bit light and airy, but also has a lot of depth to it. You have some plum, pomegranate, and a bit of honey in here to give it a bit of sweetness, but it's not overly sweet at all. The sweetness is quite light, but like I said before, the patchouli in here is quite green with a bit of earthiness, but man, overall, it kind of gives off a fresh, kind of green vibe with a sprinkle of sweetness, and I absolutely love this one. Performance is quite good, and I think also this one also has a bit of sexiness to it, and I think the sexiness is coming a bit from that plum, but also from the cardamom. For me, cardamom just registers as kind of like a sexy fragrance note, and whenever it's used in perfumery, it just gives that vibe of just sexiness that I really, really enjoy, and this fragrance has it here. I really, really like this one, and this is the only fragrance that I have from Electimuss, but I'm definitely intrigued and I want to try more from the brand. But I guess the downside to this brand is it is quite pricey, so you know, you gotta, I would just say sample first before you buy anything from this brand, because they are very, very pricey, but they have quality work, there's no doubt about that. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Electimuss Patchouli by Electimuss. Next up from the house of BDK, we have Pa and Xtra. So yeah, I was a bit skeptical when they came out with the Xtra version of Pa because I knew and I was familiar with the original Pa, and that fragrance was just a bit too feminine, or it leaned a bit too feminine for my personal liking. But you know, they ended up releasing the Xtra. I was in a fragrance store doing some fragrance shopping, sampling, and I came across this, smelled it, and I was like, ooh, I could tell that they kind of darkened it up a little bit. Basically what they did is they added patchouli, and they also added some cacao. And so while this fragrance, I feel, still leans to the feminine side, it definitely notched it over a bit more to that masculine side of things. That patchouli just really, really helped to give it, even, I think from a performance standpoint, give it a bit more longevity, but it also helped to give it kind of a, that earthiness helped to give it, you know, just a bit more of that kind of masculine edge, while still leaning to that feminine side, I think. But I really, really enjoy this one. It just smells extremely sexy in my opinion. And yeah, this is a stunner from the house. Performance is amazing. Sillage is absolutely gorgeous. So yeah, you should definitely give this one a shot. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Pa and Xtra by BDK. And finally, from the house of Jovoy, we have Psychedelic. Yeah, a few weeks ago, I reviewed the house of a Jovoy via sample set. If you missed that, I did that review in 3 different parts, so you can check it here. I sampled Psychedelic at that time, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. But after spending even more time with that sample I had, I fell in love with this fragrance. This one is just very sexy, chocolatey, slightly boozy, patchouli. There is a slight greenness and earthiness to this as well, but man, this one is just intoxicating, and it is a beast in terms of performance. It just leaves a very, very sexy sillage. But what I will say is this is it does come off very chocolatey and slightly boozy, and it almost kind of pushes into that gourmand territory slightly. So if you're someone who doesn't enjoy gourmand fragrances, or fragrances that kind of veer off in that direction, you might want to stay away from this one. But yeah, this is a stunner. But what I will say is when you spray this one, if you bring it up to your nose, you can definitely smell that heavy kind of earthiness and greenness to this one. But when you if you pull it away and you catch this one in the air, the scent kind of changes, and you have that like chocolatiness, kind of deep richness here. And again, like I said, it has a subtle booziness quality that I absolutely love here. Man, this is just patchouli done to perfection in my humble opinion. And one thing that I'll say about the house of Jovoy, I think they had like 6 fragrances that I was really, really intrigued by. So, you know, I'm spending more time with that sample set that I bought for them. But yeah, they're a stunning house. And if you didn't know, the first fragrance that I featured in this video, Mixado from Jeroboam. So Jeroboam is the sister company of Jovoy, but Jeroboam kind of sits in the shadows of Jovoy. Jovoy tends to get a bit more, light in the fragrance community. And rightfully so. They have a bunch of stunning fragrances, so I'm really, really excited to spend more time with those samples that I got in that sample set from Jovoy. But yes, Psychedelic is a banger and one that I'm super excited to wear this fall and winter. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Psychedelic by Jovoy. All right, guys, so that's all I have for you for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content, and let me know down in the comment section, what fragrances do you have in your collection that feature the note of patchouli? What are some of your favorite patchouli fragrances? I'd love to hear about them. Well, I hope you guys are staying healthy and well, and I'll see you in the next video.